Good afternoon. Let's see here. Welcome, welcome. Hope everyone's having a great day. Good to see you both. Just so you know, this is being recorded, so we can post it on our Facebook page later. So we'll have some more that come in a little bit. We should clap for them when they get here. No, I'm just teasing. We don't have to do that. All right. So if you can hear me okay, just give me a thumbs up on the screen if the audio is okay and you can hear it. Great. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see a chat window. I'm going to send you all a message right now that just says chat, and you'll see that. So if you have any questions that you want to ask along the way or something that's relevant, you can see it there. I also will be putting some links to the products we're talking about today, and I'm also going to put a discount code in that chat window at the end of our call. If you have a question when I open it up, if you click on the participant screen, there will be a button on the bottom that will say raise hand, and you can raise your digital hand and I'll see that, and then I'll be able to answer any questions you have. So electromagnetic frequencies. If you've heard of this before, in other words, if this is not the first time it's coming across, if you've heard anything about EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, radiation exposure, grounding, anything like that, just raise your physical hand if you've heard anything about that in the past. All right. And I'm just pulling up some notes here. So one of the things that is super important to acknowledge is that we are under radiation exposure all the time. There's no way to escape radiation exposure. And so the question then becomes, what is going to be in our circle of concern? Are we concerned? Raise your physical hand if you're concerned. Right, wrong, indifferent, don't justify it, but raise your physical hand if you're concerned about electromagnetic radiation or exposure to EMFs. If you've ever thought like, I don't know much about that, or I don't think this is good, or I might be concerned about that. And that's very, very valid. The truth is we don't entirely know how bad it is. I was talking to a couple of weeks ago to a PhD in biomedical engineering. All right, this guy owns the patent to the pulse oximeter and 31 other biomedical patents. This guy is a genius. He's a personal friend of mine. And I was talking to him about this concept, and he said, well, there's not enough data. There's not enough data for us to know how dangerous it is. Not enough data. And I said, okay, that's valid. I mean, that's understandable. However, how many times, like, let's talk about Chernobyl for just a second. When a nuclear reactor exploded and they sent firefighters in to get things taken care of, they thought that the firefighters they thought they would be safe. And the reason at Chernobyl they thought that the firefighters would be safe and the first responders would be safe was because there wasn't any data suggesting otherwise. But the absence of data does not in any way prove safety. Just because there's not data, how many of you, raise your physical hand if you've heard about this Zantac class action lawsuit? There's a class action lawsuit now that people that had taken Zantac for a set amount of time are higher, they're at a higher risk for pancreatic or prostate cancer. Okay, so oops, my doctor said take Zantac, take it as a proton pump inhibitor to help so you can eat chili cheese fries and Mexican food and jalapeno peppers and not get heartburn. And just take this Zantac, no problem. It's a prescription, so it's safe. It's so safe now it's over the counter. And then, oops, we have data now that shows that it can lead to a much higher, so much of a higher predisposition to pancreatic cancer, which is usually fatal, and prostate cancer, which is a little better treated. it's so serious now. There's a class action lawsuit saying, okay, we're going after the pharmaceutical company. So my point with that comparison is we do not want to wait for data to prove that something is safe, right? So just like vaccines, just like all kinds of other stuff, we cannot, if we want to be smart with our health, wait until something is proven safe. So, but that means our circle of concern can be massive and we can be scared to death all the time, and that's not super healthy either. Well, then Stephen Covey talks about a smaller circle, which is our circle of influence. So we can influence things. We can vote for people or not vote for people. We can tell our adult children, I don't have them yet, but we can tell our adult children what we want them to hear, and we can influence things. But that's still not all the way. The smallest level, the smallest circle we have in our life is our circle of control. You control what time you wake up in the morning. You control the people you spend time with. You control your adjustment schedule, your exercise schedule, your prayer schedule. You control that, every bit of that. You control your finances. Every bit of that is within your circle of control. Well, I can't make my budget meet. Well, then get a smaller house. Like it's all up to it's all under your control, which is really, really powerful. We want to have those levels of control. Okay, so now that we have kind of established, there is not a whole lot of research that says how unsafe this is. However, there is zero research that says it's safe. So my question then is, do we keep this in our circle of concern and say, well, I don't really like it, and I'm scared, and I don't know, and I shouldn't go anywhere? Or do we move it into our circle of control and say, well, what does this make possible? What can I control about this situation? Now, people in our society look at control as a bad thing. That guy's a control freak. Let me tell you something. There are 3 guys on this call right now who put our hands on your neck to affect the amount of pressure that's on your brainstem on a regular basis. Raise your physical hand if you want us to be control freaks when we're taking pressure off your brainstem, or when we're analyzing your x-rays, or when we're reading your nerve scans, or when we're measuring. Like, you want the guy flying the plane, doing the surgery, or adjusting your neck to be a control freak. So full disclosure, we are control freaks and you're welcome. All right. So now the question now is, if control is not a bad thing, but it's actually a sought after thing, then what do we do with that? And so here's where we are getting electromagnetic radiation exposure. On an airplane. How many of you have been on an airplane within the last 5 years? Raise your hand if you've been on an airplane in the last 5 years. So you get electromagnetic frequency radiation when you're walking through the airport because the doors sense you and open and close. You walk through the body scanner. I avoid those. I don't go through those. I don't allow my kids to go through those. They think I'm a terrorist because I'm Middle Eastern, so I'm pulled over every single time I go through. And I have TSA PreCheck, clear, global entry, and I frequently fly first class, which means I'm sky priority on those. And they still pull me over and check my hands for explosives. So whatever. But I don't let my kids go through those scanners because it's hitting you with radiation. And they say, well, it's really low dose. I don't care. I'm not any safer on the flight because of that radiation, so we're not getting radiated. We're getting hit with Wi-Fi signals all the time. We're getting hit with cell phone signals all the time. We're getting hit with smart meter signals all the time. If your car has a lane change assist on it, how many of you have a lane change assist on your car? Raise your physical hand if on your rear view, on your side mirrors, if it turns yellow or amber or orange when you're getting ready to change lanes and there's a car in your blind spot. Have you seen that? All right. A lot of cars, recently new cars are going to have that. Well, that's electromagnetic frequency. It's looking for motion in an area. How many of you, does anybody drive an electric vehicle? No electric vehicles. So electric vehicles are the worst. We have one. We have a Tesla, and the electric vehicles, ours is completely, it's got autonomous driving. It can read lanes. It's got 6 cameras. It can stop at stop signs and stoplights. Well, you talk about, that's an EMF storm right there. So again, it doesn't mean we can't have an electric vehicle. My wife hasn't been to the gas station in 3 years. She prides herself on that. She plugs her car in at night like a cell phone, and it's good. But that is an EMF storm. So Wi-Fi, cell phone, smart meters, electric vehicles, and any vehicle with a lane change assist, massive electromagnetic frequency radiation. Some of the biggest, does anybody know, put in the chat if you know this or what your guess is, where we get the most EMF exposure, like just, and I'll give you a hint, it's not on the list that I just mentioned, but it's about a place I just mentioned. Like I mentioned a place that we go, and I asked if you've had a certain experience. Where do you think we get the most electromagnetic frequency radiation exposure? Basement, okay, great guess. It's not in our basement. That's actually less exposure because you're grounded at that point. You're underneath. Now, you might have Wi-Fi or cell signals hitting you at that time, or if you have a microwave running, you could do that. But there's something we do. I'll give you a hint. It involves traveling. That's where we would have the most EMF frequencies. I'll give it another second or so. I should have made this a poll. Okay, I'm going to give you multiple choice. Is it in your backyard? Is it in your car? Is it at your place of work? Or is it in an airplane? Where would you think we get the most electromagnetic frequency radiation exposure? Dr. Duran says airplane, work, airplane. We get the most exposure in an airplane. In fact, to put it into perspective, flying from New York to Los Angeles, how many know when we x-ray you, you have radiation exposure? You're exposed to radiation through x-rays. It's true. Our x-rays are lower dose radiation than you flying from New York to LA by a factor of 200. So what that means is you would have to get 200 x-rays in our office to equal the radiation exposure you would get flying from New York to Los Angeles in an airplane. So should we never fly? Nope, I don't think that's the answer. Here's what I suggest. Smallest to biggest. This is a product that we sell. Full disclosure, I'm going to give you a link to our cart afterwards. I'm also going to give you a 20% discount code for attending here. So it's not. So I want you to know where I'm going with this. This is an SD5. This is my daughter's. So this is her lanyard keychain, and I use this. Look, it says JJ Lazar right on it. Jaden Yulia Lazar right on it. So when people say, what do you think is important? All of my kids, my wife, myself, my dad, we all have an SD5 that we carry on us. Mine is on my keychain. Jaden's is on hers. The boys, my sons, are on theirs. My wife's is on her keychain. Here's why. This will protect a 30-foot radius. So when you're not home, when you're out, when you're at Starbucks, when you're at church, when you're on the airplane, when you're at work, as long as this is within 15 feet of you, it's going to, the strongest protection is within the radius. So this does a 30-foot diameter sphere of protection, but you want this within 15 feet of you for the best protection. So here's what's cool. This goes with me on the airplane in my computer bag so that while I'm on the airplane, I am being protected as well as people within a 30-foot radius of me are being protected. And I just tell them, buy me a drink or something. You're welcome. I'm protecting you. So this is a Protect Pro SD5. We sell these. We don't inventory them because these are full retail on this is $295. So you only need one. It lasts forever, but we don't inventory them. This also is safe. This is absorbs 5G. How many of you have heard of 5G signals from cell towers? It's 60 times stronger than 4G. So we're kind of like microwaving our brains and our cells. I hate to say that, but it's true. So if you don't buy it from us, that is totally okay. But if you look elsewhere, make sure, I've done the research. These are the ones I like. These are the ones I use. It's the only ones we sell. So, but make sure if you look elsewhere that you're getting 5G protection. If you get 4G protection and you're walking around at 5G, it's not going to do you any good. You just wasted a couple $100. These are $295 full retail. There's an SD10 that's a little bit larger. I don't have an SD10 because I don't have a need for it. I'm going to show you the SD50. So this is the SD50. I pulled this down. This is installed in our office. So while you're in our office, you are protected. This covers a 60-meter sphere. We want the most protection is within 30 meters. We have this at the top of a cabinet in a central location in the office. So no matter which wing you're in, you're still within that 30-meter radius and you're getting full protection by this. We get a lot of radiation exposure by looking at computer monitors. So this will work at home. This is what I recommend for home. The SD10, which is about this big, is, I think it's $395. And this one is $595 full retail. You'll save 20% until the end of June from being on this. But I don't have an SD10, which is a smaller version of this because I don't need it. So we have the SD5s that we carry with us, and then the SD50, we have one at our office and one in our home, so that if you're at my home or my office, you're protected. And then we take this with us. The SD10 is good if you have like an office that you want to take it to, or a classroom if you're a teacher and you want it in the classroom. But honestly, like, I don't think you need an SD10 if you have this with you. If you have control over what your office installs, have your HR department install this. Like, you need, this will cover everybody. And so that's what we recommend. The other thing we recommend is the Protect Pro 5G. This is, and I don't know if the writing is backwards on this. It is on my camera, but we sell these. This is 5G protection. It goes on the back of your cell phone. When you come in next, if I see you or if Dr. Duran sees you, we can test you with your cell phone. We put your cell phone on your heart. We show you that it completely crashes your nervous system. If we put this on there, it protects you from the cell signals while your cell phone is with you. So everyone in my family has this on their cell phone. These are $99, the best $100 you'll spend, other than an adjustment. But this covers everything 5G. The only reason this won't work is if there's technology that comes out after 5G. This may not protect from that, but it's $100. And if you get it before the end of June, you're going to save 20%. So it's going to be $80. This should go on every cell phone for anybody that you care about. So $100 for this full retail, $295 for the SD5 full retail, $595 for the SD50. I'm going to unmute everybody, and I'm going to answer any questions you have. Go ahead and unmute whenever. If you have a question, just go ahead and unmute yourself. It's not a big number on here. And you can ask anything. How does it work? Why the heck do we need this? Why are you doing a coaching call where you're trying to sell me crap? Like, whatever you want to ask, you can ask. Miss Judy.
Yeah, you said so many meters for the big one?
Yeah, 60. It's a 60-meter sphere for the large.
I don't know what meters mean. So if you could put it in English, I appreciate it.
180 feet.
180 feet, okay.
A big dome of 180 feet. Most people's homes, that will protect most people's homes.
Okay.
I'm going to put the link to those. Let's see. There we go. That's what I need. So the link is coming. And here's how you can remember the discount code. It's really, 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 really simple. Electromagnetic frequency radiation stresses the heck out of your body, right? I mean, it's hard on our body to deal with that. So the discount code for any of these, we don't limit it. You can buy as many as you want till the end of June. Here's the link. You buy it directly on our cart. It ships directly to you. We help you with it if you have any questions. So this is a link to our landing page for the protection devices. And if you click there, it talks about smart meters, transmission towers, cars and electric cars, Wi-Fi, geopathic zones, airplanes. Everything that I just said is kind of in written format on that link I just posted in the chat. The discount code, it's going to be really, really hard to remember, okay? So I'm going to write it in there, is STRESS. So when you go to check out, if you put STRESS in any of the electromagnetic frequency radiation protection devices, you will save 20% off. You'll save 20% on those. So instead of this being, I'm going to round up to 600, you're going to save $120 off of this by the end of June. We don't care anything about, we just want you guys protected. Like, I will tell you, it's a better use of my time to adjust patients than it is to sell products. But we believe that you need to be protected when you're not, well, when you're in our office, because we've invested in these. But we want you protected. All right, what other questions do you have? And while you're formulating those, doctors, if you have anything to add, please do so. The floor is open. I'm going to take a drink of my Zingerman's espresso roast coffee right now. All right. If there's nothing to add and you don't have questions, we can hop off early. Totally fine. This will be reposted on Facebook. Give me a thumbs up on the screen if you saw the link in the chat. I want to make sure that went through okay. If you see the link in the chat with the discount code STRESS, that's there. And that'll be good. All right, so I'll pass it around one more time. Any questions before we go? All right, wonderful. Well, thank you for being here. Protect yourselves. This is in your circle of control. You can't control, by the way, we have 9 Wi-Fi networks that run through our office. That's a lot of Wi-Fi networks. There are 137 smart meters on the back part of our property here where those condos are. So you're being hit left and right with radiation. So we have this installed. Again, you're okay in the office, but when you're at Starbucks, church, driving down the road, flying on an airplane, you want to be protected then as well. So really, really glad you're here. De-stress your body, at least with the negative stress, and this will help with that a ton. Thanks for being here. We'll be back next week for another weekly full potential live coaching. Thanks for being here. Have an awesome day.